Once again, Vice Presidential nominee Paul Ryan. You can have the greatest policies in the world, but if you can't get Washington to work together, they're worth absolutely zero. How would you expect? Let's assume that let's assume you win. Let's assume you don't get the Senate. You have a divided Capitol Hill. What are you going to do? Are you going to negotiate more? Or, I mean, what's the Ryan Romney magic to undo that logjam?
A couple of things. You don't get to common ground unless you put your ideas on the table. As you know, the House passed a budget twice in the last 2 years. The Senate hasn't for 3 years. How do you get to common ground if they don't even offer an idea and bring it to the table?
So how do you get them to put an offer up?
So we will put ideas on the table. We will lead with solutions. The other point I would say is look at the policies we're proposing. They have bipartisan origins. The Medicare reforms that we're proposing are Medicare reforms that are bipartisan. I authored with a Democrat.
But you put a budget on the table. Even President Obama sent a budget to Capitol Hill. Senator Harry Reid just puts it in his pocket. I mean, how would you possibly go through? How would you possibly?
President Obama's budget got 0 votes. Zero.
Yes, but still, Senator Harry Reid is the one who he's stopping it by not putting a budget up to negotiate. I don't know if your budget's good or not, but you can't even negotiate if he's putting it in his pocket.
Precisely. You
so
can't negotiate.
How do you get him to work?
Well, I don't know how you get Harry Reid to work. That's been vexing me for 3 years, so I can't speak for what it takes to get Harry Reid to make decisions or the Senate to do something. But I know what we do is we lead. We reach across the aisle. We don't demonize and demagogue people. We work with them, just like I did on Medicare reform. Our tax reform proposals, they have bipartisan origin. Get rid of tax shelters and special interest loopholes, lower tax rates for everybody. There are a lot of Democrats who agree with us. Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neill last did this.
But you voted against the Simpson-Bowles when they were trying to get rid of all that.
You know what I did? Because I didn't like the total Simpson-Bowles package, I put my own plan out there. That's what leaders do. I took what I liked from Simpson-Bowles, added it to new solutions, put that in a budget, and passed it through Congress. The reason I didn't vote for Simpson-Bowles is because it didn't tackle the problem of health care. It kept Obamacare in place. It allowed Medicare to go bankrupt and Medicare to grow unchecked, which goes to bankruptcy. I did not want to look my constituents in the eye and say I passed or voted for a plan that I know doesn't solve the problem. There are great ideas in Simpson-Bowles. Those two guys, Simpson and Bowles, they're great guys. But what I did was I offered an alternative. That's what President Obama owed the country. Don't tell us that you don't like our plan. Show us what yours is. He really has yet to put a credible plan out there that actually tackles this problem. And here's the problem, Greta. We don't have much more time. We will be Greece or Europe if we keep kicking the can down the road like the president's failed leadership has done. Mitt Romney's not going to make that mistake.
Rush Limbaugh and Laura Ingraham have been hard on the campaign in the past couple days. They say that you're not bold enough, or they're saying that if you don't win this one, the party's gone.
Look, I believe this is the most important election in our lifetimes. We are literally choosing not just who's going to be president for the next 4 years, but what kind of country we're going to have, what kind of people are we going to be. If I had to boil it down, it would be this. We are offering the American idea of an opportunity society with a safety net, a society of prosperity and upward mobility. President Obama is offering 4 more years of the same, which will lead to a welfare state with a debt crisis. We think the goal and role of government is to protect our natural rights so we can define happiness for ourselves and promote equality of opportunity. President Obama is saying he wants to equalize the results of people's lives. He wants government-granted rights. Very different philosophy, very different vision, and what we see with the Obama plan is stagnation, debt crisis. That's not what people want in this country. And I think when Americans look at the final analysis, they'll take us and our ideas to get the American idea back on track.
All right, 2 questions. If you get the first one wrong, you'll never win Wisconsin.
Okay, is it
here, right? Lambeau Field or Lambert?
Greta, I've been coming to games here a long time. I tailgate right over there at the other end of that parking lot. This is Lambeau Field.
You're sure?
I took my daughter.
You're sure?
I took my daughter to the playoff game against the Giants last year. It was a pretty cold day, and she cried halfway home because it was a terrible game. So I'm a big-time Packer fan, lifelong.
So it's Lambeau.
It's Lambeau.
Okay. Second question. Jerry Kramer played for 10 years for the Packers. He's been up, I think, about 10 times to make the Hall of Fame. He's the one who threw the block so Bart Starr could win the Ice Bowl in 1967, and he's the one who kicked the field goals in 1962 to win the championship against the Green Bay Packers. He's not in the Hall of Fame. Do you support Jerry Kramer going to the Hall of Fame?
Absolutely. On a picture on my wall in my office is a picture of Vince Lombardi and Paul Hornung, and on a mantle in my office is a Packer helmet signed by Mike McCarthy. My blood is green and gold.
But Jerry Kramer's like the Susan Lucci of football.
Absolutely. There are a lot of Packers we should send to the Hall of Fame, more than just that.
Congressman, thank you, sir. Nice to see you.
Good to see you again.
Coming up, Rush Limbaugh says President Obama is